Welcome to the 60 Plus Podcast.
I'm Janet.
And I'm Joe. How are you, Janet?
I'm fabulous. You know, we are here in a wonderful place. We're doing our first live podcast, and I'm just so excited about it, Joe. How about you?
I'm very excited. A little nervous because the technology is my job, and
It's been a little tricky.
it has been. So, do you want to say where we are?
We are at Lasell Village, and we are going to be speaking with the president of Lasell Village, as well as a resident, to talk about the wonderful things that happens here. And then we're going to be talking to some residents about life here and all the good stuff that's going on. So I think this is cool.
Do you want to make introductions?
Yes, I would like to introduce.
Sarah.
Yeah, and you guys can tell a little bit about yourself. Yes.
Hi, I'm Sarah Abbottwood. I'm the president of Lasell Village, and I'm so happy to be here today.
And I'm Jennifer Huntington. I've been a resident here for 5 years.
Very good. Zara, why don't you tell us what is Lasell Village? Where are we? What is Lasell Village, and what's its mission?
So Lasell Village is a continuing care retirement community, and we share a campus with Lasell University in Newton, Massachusetts. We're just outside Boston, and we've been around for a little over 25 years, so we're well established, and we offer residential learning to older adults. More than that, we really are a place which offers the promise of lifelong learning to older adults. So when people move in independently, they commit contractually to 450 hours of learning and engagement a year, and which is pretty revolutionary when you think about it.
That's very different from most retirement communities or assisted living communities, right?
Correct. I would say that even though the idea of university-based or university-integrated retirement communities has really taken off over the last 5 to 7 years, we are the only community that I know of in the U.S. that actually enforces an educational requirement for our residents. And not only do our residents not mind, they thrive on it. Maybe I'll turn this over to Jennifer.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that because it is a very unique offering, and we have actually covered the power of lifelong learning and how important it is. So, Jennifer, please tell us more.
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm amused by 60 plus, because for me that's a quarter of a century ago and feels like a long time. But I would also say that if you ask almost any resident why they chose Lasell, they would tell you it's for the way they can go on learning and for the contact with younger people, and that's their primary reason for coming here.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. I know that there's a term that we banter around, intergenerational learning, and it really happens here, right? Like, give us an example of that.
Absolutely. I mean, I could tell you a lot of things that happen intergenerationally from the classes, but let me first start with almost every evening, the wait staff in our dining room are all from the university or local high schools. So we get to talk with them about their aspirations, their majors, what they hope to do, and that gives us a very nice entree into their lives, which is nice. But apart from that, there are classes. Several of the university professors open up their classes to us, and that's fun. No final papers, no exams, which is really a nice way of taking classes and going on learning. And then we try to open up ourselves, because we have, between and among ourselves, a lot of career experience in many different fields. And we'd like to find ways to share that with the students and see if we can help them either do an interview, write a resume, whatever it be, help them make some contacts and so on.
So you're not just on the receiving end of the learning, you're helping in the learning process for the students at Lasell University.
Absolutely, yes. And we join with them on sometimes individual nights. For example, coming up is a trivia night when we have about 30 students and 30 villagers will be coming. The evening will be run by a university professor, and we have a lot of fun. Sometimes the questions are only the students can answer because they're about pop singers, and sometimes only the residents can answer. But those kinds of nights, we have a talent night, we have a Earth Day night when we have an intergenerational garden. And so there are lots of ways in which we can really, truly make this an intergenerational place.
I'd love to pick up on something that you guys just said, which is really talking about how residents aren't just passively receiving learning, they're also teaching. I think it's a really important feature of our residents here and of the experience here is that our residents have a lot of autonomy, a lot of agency, and sort of get to choose how they lead their lives. So while we have the requirement, residents really get complete control over how they spend that time. Some of them take classes, many of them teach classes. There's a lot of volunteer work involved, including teaching our frontline employees who might not speak English. Our residents will teach them ESL. So volunteer work, museums, fitness, there really is a way of looking at this that is holistic. You'd asked me what our mission was. Our mission is really to cultivate welcoming spaces where the joy of learning, discovery, and mutual well-being flourishes. And we really do see ourselves as a true community where the mutuality is really important.
Yeah, I love that mission. It's really beautifully written, and I know that it's really embodied here, and especially the aspect of joy. And, how do you feel that on a day-to-day basis? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, people really take care of each other. We really understand and appreciate when someone is sick or has traveled or something. We welcome them back to the community. We ask how they're doing. There's very much a sense of community here. But it also extends to other fields. For example, the physical fitness trainer here has made a connection with the women's basketball team. And residents go up there and watch the games. And then the students come here and have dinner with the residents. So there's a lot of, again, what you talked about, Joe, the give and take, the back and forth. That's really important. And I would say one other thing. I have the privilege with another resident of being the village's representative to the Student Government Association. And once a week, we trot up the hill and we listen to what their concerns are, and we contribute to their concerns, their interests. We can follow up with them, and that's a real privilege.
Can you give any examples of something that's happened with student government where you were able to participate and contribute to what the student government does at Lasell?
Sure. I mean, something that we would not be concerned about is why the hot chocolate machine in the cafe is not working.
Oh, that would be top of my list.
But it's of much concern to them. However, what was a big concern to them was what happens to student evaluations of their professors. They want to know what is the route and how that goes. And so there was an academic committee of the Student Government Association that was following through on that. So that would be one issue, Joe.
And tell me a little bit more about some of the activities that you can do. I assume there's like an educational
Plan that's put together to track those 450 hours?
Absolutely. And so I think we do have our own Dean of Education and our own curriculum. And so we really don't see, while intergenerational programming is a large piece of what we do, that really isn't all of what we do. We have our own curriculum, and we take a lot of resident input as we are fashioning that curriculum every semester. And so residents can choose to take classes from that curriculum. They can choose to take classes over at the university. We do designate certain classes intergenerational at the university. We've had residents sign up for personal research projects. We had a resident who's actually in the audience today who had birds laid eggs and hatched them on her balcony. And she spent a semester watching them hatch and grow. We do a lot of volunteer work. So there really is, it runs the gamut.
You mentioned that some of the residents actually teach classes.
Absolutely.
What would be an example?
What would not be an example? We had a resident actually, and this was a really inspirational course. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. We had a resident that taught a class on AI. He was in his 90s, and his fellow teacher / TA was a gentleman who was our lifeguard and also a student at the university. And then we had a 101-year-old resident taking the class. So that was sort of a nice example. We also have classes that come up every semester. Our residents have a range of specialties ranging from genetics to criminal justice to all kinds of things. I think a great example is bad Supreme Court decisions. That's a course that fills up every semester. I think, what are your personal favorites, Jennifer?
Well, usually anything to do with literature or history are my favorites. I love traveling to Europe and figuring out what happened to my medieval queen heroines, and then teaching a course about that.
Oh,
This is not a regular kind of retirement, assisted living kind of place, but you still have to deal with those things as well, correct?
Absolutely. I think what we do is, obviously we have an aging population. Our residents come in independent and vibrant and full of life, and they continue their life here full of the zest for learning and for growth. But there's different ways that residents decline. I just spent an hour with our hearing impaired persons group, and our residents self-advocate very much like students, actually, but in a more organized and with more executive functioning. So we have a visually impaired persons group that's led by several very active residents. We have a hearing impaired persons group. At the management level, we are a continuing care retirement community, which means that we allow our residents to age in place within the community, and we offer them services as and when they need them, including rehab, including home care. We have a supported living neighborhood that they could move into if they needed more help with the acts of daily living, and we offer skilled nursing as well. So we try to offer, we're continually evolving. Care and care services are offered to our residents, but we really try to offer them choice-based care so they can choose how they age on their own terms.
Well, we did a lot of research about lifelong learning, and there was a lot of data to suggest that it does promote long-term health as well. Do you see that here?
Well, yes, and I just want to pick up on something that Zara made you all laugh, and that's the part of the motto is to live, to learn, to laugh. And I think that part of health is laughing and being able to find joy in things. And that's really part, not only physical health, but emotional and mental health.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that, and I think that's a beautiful slogan. I don't know who came up with that, but it's very good. So I also would like to know a little bit more about the fun things that you do here, right? So you have a lot of events, and do you dance? Do you sing? Do you like also those fun things?
My two favorite events are coming up very soon. So don't ask me why we're having Oktoberfest in January, but we've been doing an amazing Oktoberfest event every October. And this year we're going to have it in January as a Winterfest because we had our 25th anniversary in October. So we were celebrated out. And then my other favorite event, which I'm looking really forward to, is our Oscars Gala, which is we celebrate with the red carpet. We have our own troupe of residents. We have a movie club where our residents dress to the nines. It's a chance to see everyone at their finest, and it's a really fun event. I think we have fun and find joy in all kinds of ways. I think what we offer is again choice, and so people get to define what makes them happy. And we really do have a community of residents, employees, and students. One of the things that you might not know about the village is that we offer free tuition at Lasell University for all our employees and their dependents. And so we often have employees whose kids are students over at the university, other kids who are serving here at the village, and residents that get to interact with both. So people find joys in all kinds of ways.
Now, is most of the activity that the residents participate in is campus the right word?
It is absolutely the right
Do you go off campus
word.
as well?
We do go off campus as well. We have our own shuttle bus, and we have Aileen, who's in the audience and helped pull this together, helps organize all kinds of trips, primarily cultural trips, but like we did we do the Pride March, the Pride Parade in Boston. We do a lot of concerts and events. We do a lot of events over at the university, and we offer transportation there as well. It's only a mile away, but as Jennifer knows, trotting over there every week, it's uphill. So it can get hard in the winter, but primarily, yes, on campus.
Do any of the residents pursue their degree at the university?
We had one resident that got a degree at the university. I believe it was right before I started here, and I think it was written up in the Boston Globe. Most of our residents come here with multiple degrees, and so what they're really doing is pursuing their passions. Often you'll see someone come in as a physician who takes up ceramics or quilting or poetry writing. We had 2 residents publish books of poetry over the last year, one of whom just turned 100 years old, another one's only in her mid-90s.
That's fabulous. And I do understand that
It's an intellectual powerhouse here, so more examples of that I'd love to hear.
I think it's hard because one thing I've found, and I've visited a lot of communities, is that our residents don't don't talk a lot about who they used to be before they came here. And I think that's because they're still learning and still growing and still self-actualizing. So it's not as mired in the past as other communities I've visited, where people talk about things they had accomplished in the past and who they used to be. I would say we have all kinds of talents here, but what I see is really residents continuing to exercise talents. We have 15 or 18, depending on how you count, resident-run committees here, leading with the Resident Advisory Council, but we have a Medical Advisory Committee, we have a Care and Connection Committee, we have residents that are really driving and leading the charge in terms of forging their own experience. And I think those are the accomplishments that they're most proud of right now, rather than who they were in a previous life.
It's wonderful.
One of the comments I heard as we were setting up was, I don't even know what a podcast is, from one of the residents here. But they're all here to see a podcast being produced, and I find that kind of heartening that they're here to see what we do. It is. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Should
great.
we open it up for questions from the audience?
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's nothing else that Jennifer would like to add. Okay, thank you so much, you guys, for telling us about how wonderful this place is. And I'd love to have other people come up, or we have a roaming mic where we can go around if you have any questions about this podcast.
I love listening to Sarah and my colleague over there and you people. There's so much more we could tell you, but one thing that just tickles my mind all the time is the name of, we have a chorus and we sing, 3 times a year, we present a musical. And just the the music part of it, singing. And our chorus is called Voices of Experience. Now, what does that tell you?
I love that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. Yeah, many of the podcasts that I listen to have started expanding into video. They'll post their session on YouTube, usually after the fact. And I wonder if you've considered that and what the much greater technical challenge would be like to do that.
Well, you nailed the reason why we don't do it. It is a much greater technical challenge, and we're a fairly small operation. You're looking at the entire staff, if you include Grace, our intern. So adding video does add a considerable technical challenge, and our studio really isn't even set up for video at this point. It's not something we have completely said we'll never do, but at this point in time, I think we're going to wait for the time being.
I would wholeheartedly love to do video, but I've been getting some resistance, not naming names or anything. But yeah, it is.
Grace.
It is a big ball of wax to unmelt. I've just made that metaphor up. I don't know what that was. So I hope it's in the near future.
We really can't end this without giving a huge shout out to Aileen, because Aileen is the one who pulls together all the amazing cultural experiences, from buses to take us to the opera, to Winslow Homer exhibit, to all the wonderful concerts we have in the evenings. And that's what both helps us with our 450 hours, but also is a wonderful handing us things on a silver platter. Thank you, Aileen.
Yes, thank you, Aileen.
Actually, this is not a question. It's just another comment about our intergenerational activities. Last year, we were involved with the student activities coordinator on the campus of Lasell University, getting students to register to vote. And it was really a very well thought out program. Jennifer and I sat in a couple of places to help kids, or to advocate that kids register to vote and become involved. And I think we had a big impact. And I think the next time, well, in this year, we'll see that kind of activity again.
That's absolutely
wonderful. That's just great. I love to hear that. Yes, we need to get out that vote.
Let's see, 3 years ago, I was introduced to a young woman who was a sophomore. And I became her mentor. She's now in graduate school, and we are still very close. And it's been a wonderful experience. And it was more as a local adult who was not associated with the university, someone she could talk to or come and she's studying education, which is what I came from. And that's been a wonderful experience.
That's great to hear.
I just wanted to give a shout out to two other resident-led events in recent memory, and I'm sure I'll leave others out because there's so much that happens every week that's resident initiated. But earlier this year, we had a resident-organized series of protests. They called it Octogenarians on the March. But we had our residents self-mobilize with signs going into Newton Corner and just peacefully protesting what they saw happening in the country. Again, not management sponsored, just resident driven. Recently, with some of the challenges with the SNAP benefits, we had residents fundraise for the Newton Food Pantry. Significant thousands of dollars, but all again resident led. So often we will see our residents embody all that's best of college activism and really execute on it, which really inspires me.
It was one of many experiences, but last night, one of the wait staff asked me if she could give me her email address, because I'm in mental health, to talk about it, and it's just been an absolutely wonderful experience being a mentor, and several of us have met with groups of students around their future and their aspirations. The other thing is we often organize programs around concerns for the residents, and for example, Kathy Morocco and several of us organized a program on transgender, because there were grandparents here of transgendered grandchildren, and we worked with Kelly Wallace from the university, and it was an absolute incredible experience in broadening our knowledge and our issues and concerns about what's going on in the world, and I think that was just very helpful to a lot of people.
These are all great examples of what makes this place so special. And we are so happy to have had this opportunity to talk to you guys today and learn more about Lasell Village. And thank you all for participating. And unless there's any other questions, I think we're probably going to wrap it up. So you're going to hear us do a little end cap. And thank you guys again for being here.
All right, that's it for this week's episode of the 60 Plus podcast, our first live podcast from a remote location. So that's it. I'm Joe.
I'm Janet. Bye.
Thank you.